Hi friends, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. On today's Sunday gear review, I want to talk to you about an improvement that has recently come out. This from TASER, it is the Pulse Plus. Big Tech's Ordnance is my go-to source for accessories for all your defensive and competition firearms. They have great holsters with accessories for concealment and ship fast at great prices. I'm a proud customer and recommend them without hesitation. If you're a fan of the main channel at all, you know that I think that everyone should have something between a harsh word and a gun, and other people aren't comfortable carrying a firearm, and no one should ever be forced to carry a firearm. And in those situations, or for times where you can't carry a firearm, but a conductive electrical weapon would be legal, I think something like the Pulse Plus is a good choice. If you've been around active self-protection for quite a while, you might remember that I got to take a ride on the original TASER Pulse. This was a few years ago, but here it is.
All right, Johnny, you ready? Ready. All right, I'm going to activate this on the third taser. All right, ready? Ready. Taser!
Well, that sucked!
And let me tell you, that is miserable, 100% miserable when you get to ride the lightning. When you get neuromuscular incapacitation, that's what this does. So I want to be very cautious that this is not a stun gun. This is a taser. Taser's a brand name. It's like Kleenex, right? You know, people call Kleenex any tissue. No, this is TASER. TASER is a very particular company. Now they become known for conductive electrical weapons, and they're the only one that's of any quality that I'm aware of that have barbs that shoot out. A stun gun is a tool that has direct contact. So you have to drive it into somebody and contact them. Then it has a couple of contacts that creates an electrical path that then goes across that, which causes pain. TASER does something different. There are barbs that shoot out of this here and they spread as they go. And if you get at least 12 inches of prong spread and they both get inside of your aggressor, you'd only use that against an aggressor, right? Then they cause neuromuscular incapacitation. The pulse rate of the TASER Pulse is such that it overrides the brain and the central nervous system's control of the muscles. And the broader spread you get, the better off that is in that. And so when you lock somebody up with a taser, and you see this on badge cams all the time, we saw it recently with King Elmer, right? That he's standing here like this and the officer pops him with the barbs and he goes, and over he goes until the ride stops. Now, once the electrical impulse is over, this one is done. Now, big difference here. Initial pulse on an officer's taser, whether they're using an X26 or the new 7 series or whatever, is usually 10 seconds, 5 seconds on some of the older ones. This one's 30 seconds. So they have recontextualized this particular unit for a difference in mission. The mission of a law enforcement officer is to take somebody into custody so that when they pop somebody with a taser, they are then going to move in, take whatever it was away from them while they are under neuromuscular incapacitation. If that's a knife, King Elmer had a big old sword, something like that, take that away from them and then get them into custody using other techniques. As a private citizen, we don't do that. Our mission is to break contact. So TASER Pulse Plus breaks contact because it gives a 30-second impulse, up to, depends on the batteries. It basically goes until you either shut it off or the battery lets out, which gives you time to get out of the situation. One of the cool updates to the Pulse Plus from the original Pulse is it integrates with the Noonlight app on your phone. And what the Noonlight app does in its basic configuration, now you can get higher levels of membership, but even in free, what it does is that the Pulse Plus connects via Bluetooth to your phone. So you use the app and connect your Pulse to the app. Then if you take the safety off on this, it's not if you fire it, it's if you take the safety off, and I guess what we're really looking at for that is somebody has threatened you enough that you have drawn it, gotten it out and gotten the light to turn on, the laser beam to come on them, that's serious enough that if they don't immediately hear from you, they'll try to call you, try to text you, set all that stuff up in the app. They will send police right to where the GPS says your phone is. I find that to be a very good thing. The New Light app can be useful for other stuff as well, but for this case, that's very useful. Now, you can bypass that for a bit. You can tell it, don't send that while you do your monthly spark check, because one of the things they want you to do, pull the cartridge out of this. Pretty simple to remove the cartridge. You want to push in on both edges and then it comes right out. Of course, you want to do that. Make sure your safety's on, all that stuff. You wouldn't want to get some barbs in you. And then once your cartridge is out, you flip the safety off. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to mess with my phone. And it has a spark across these. So it can be used as a drive stun if you needed it to as well. The other big improvement that I think they made on the Pulse Plus that I really like is the battery. So let's take a look at it here. So you pop the battery off on the bottom. That's the same as the original Pulse. Let's pop this guy out of here. So then once you give it a shake, that starts to come out a little bit, and you can then, it takes a little bit of work to drag him out of there. Once you finally get a little bit of purchase on it, you can get that out of there. And you want to be cautious with this because it's connected in here. But one of the things that I love about this is I am going to pop this guy all the way out. There you go. Once I pop that guy all the way out, you can actually then pop these. It's not easy and it's not supposed to be, but here's what you notice. It's actually powered by two CR123A batteries. So the cool part of this is, as opposed to the old one of this was a proprietary battery. So then you had to order a new one. It wasn't rechargeable or those things. Now, just put a couple of CR123s in it and you're good to go. These are supposed to last about a year. You do a monthly spark check on it and should be good to go for quite a while, and replace the batteries with cheap and readily available CR123s. Yay. It's got a range of 15 feet. I think you probably want to be somewhere a little bit closer than that. 15 feet is, man, at 5 yards is a pretty far distance for this, especially because the prongs are spreading. And remember, you got to get both prongs in them in order to get neuromuscular incapacitation. It's kind of all or nothing in that. And so you probably want to be within about 10 feet, like 7 to 10 feet is probably your sweet spot, what I would recommend. Would I carry this instead of a gun? Not personally, I wouldn't. I think that everyone should have something between a harsh word and a gun. And generally speaking, I carry an OC spray as my tool for that. I have carried a taser in places where I couldn't carry a firearm as another tool in my toolbox when I couldn't have a firearm. I'll give you a for instance. It's perfectly legal to carry a taser without a permit in the state of California, but my CCW permit does not abide in the state of California, so it's illegal for me to carry a firearm there. So sometimes a TASER Pulse Plus would be a better choice because you're not breaking the law. Check the local laws of your state, city, municipality, and all that stuff. I also think some people have a moral objection to carrying a firearm, and if you have a moral objection to carrying a firearm, then our morality differs, and I'm okay with that, and maybe a TASER Pulse Plus is something that's good for you. I will say this for those who are thinking about this as your option between a harsh word and a gun. One thing I recommend is that you want your less lethal tool, generally speaking, especially something like a taser. This is gun shaped, right? You don't want to mistake your firearm for this. So what I do when I'm carrying this is, number one, I carry it on my support side. So for me, that's my right hand because I am correct-handed, not like you weirdos. And so it's that the taser is on my right side. Further, I actually go as far as to carry it behind my hip. You're a fan of active self-protection at all here on the Extra Channel, you know that I carry a firearm appendix. I don't carry my TASER Pulse Plus appendix for the particular reason is I don't want to associate this idea of drawing here, which is what I have with my firearm, with a less lethal tool. So I do carry behind the hip when I am carrying this as my defensive tool. Again, I don't generally carry this as my secondary tool. I generally carry an OC spray because it fits that role for me in a smaller package. Your mileage may vary. And again, I've carried a Pulse and a Pulse Plus, and I think it's got its place. So again, how would I get to that? So this is that strong side draw where I go and grab it and out it comes. In this particular case, with the Pulse Plus, we actually have a difference as well, because one of the things that we normally do with a firearm is we go thumb over, and then that lets us sweep the safety off if we have one. Safety on a TASER Pulse Plus is backwards on purpose from your firearm. You want it to be a different set so that you're not mistaking your firearm for a TASER. So I actually draw this thumb in, so then that way I can flip that up. That gives me a light and a laser beam in order to put on somebody. It does have a set of sights as well, but I don't think those are particularly useful. Other thing with this guy, not cheap, man. $450 for this guy on their website, same on Amazon or whatever. Now you can get a discount. I got them to set us up a discount. If you use discount promo code ASP, it'll get you 15% off, which isn't bad. It's about $70 off of it. And they do have accessories. You saw I've got a little inside the waistband Blade Tech holster here. I don't know that I would use it for a firearm, but for a TASER Pulse Plus, it's great. They've got an outside the waistband one, and then they have, other stuff that I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but the Blade Tech IWB is not bad at all. And the OWB, if you wanted to go that route, okay, fine. You're looking though for the holster and the gun combo. If you use the discount, you're looking right around $420 for this guy with 2 cartridges. They give you 2 on purpose so you can practice with one, and I think that's smart. So it's not a cheap option by anybody's definition, but if you were looking for something with a conductive electrical weapon, if it's legal in your state, which the only states I think it's not legal in, check your local laws, of course. I think though that Rhode Island and Hawaii are the only states that prohibit private citizens from owning these. Some places you can't take them out of the home, you can't carry them concealed, those kinds of things. So again, check your local laws, right? But for the most part, most states you can carry one of these, and in most states you can carry it without a permit if you're not a prohibited possessor or those kinds of things. So I think it's a viable tool, guys. I think it has a place in the repertoire. I think that as far as effectiveness, if you get both probes in, it's going to generally do its job. Though, of course, there's a lot of variables there. Not going to work for heavy clothing, not going to work at all if you miss one. But for some people, I think it's going to be a useful tool, and I like the thoughtful upgrades here with Noonlight. I like that the battery is user replaceable now with CR123s. I think those are both very helpful. I think that the holsters that they've got now are very good. And so, yeah, I like this enough that I even invited them to be a sponsor of the channel, and they accepted that. So another option for concealed carry for a less lethal tool.